Okay, I found a rabbit hole. Can I explain to you this rabbit hole I found? Because I'm like so confused. It's like blowing my mind, right? And like no one's talking about it. It doesn't exist, but it also involves like high level celebrities that you would assume people would like Joe Coy is involved.
This is not what I thought you were going to talk about.
Oh no, it goes deep, man. Perfect. Okay. So I was watching a video here on YouTube. Red Letter Media. I am recording, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to put this in the podcast. Maybe it can be a Patreon bit.
But you are recording.
I am recording. So don't say any of the normal stuff you're usually saying off camera, okay?
The hell does that mean?
You know what it means, buddy. I was watching this video from Red Letter Media. In this video, they talked about like a recent Christmas movie that came out, like a Christmas horror movie called It's a Wonderful Knife. And
Original.
it's no, I didn't see it, but it has Justin Long in it, funny enough. And yeah, it's kind of like a slasher comedy thing. It doesn't look great, but they said it felt like a movie written by AI. And they were like, it's so bad. And I know that this, I'm getting to my point here. This is a long walk for a short drink of water, my friend. So I go down into the comment section, and one of the first comments I read, which doesn't even have that many likes, it's just like one of the most recent comments, says like, oh, if you guys want a movie that feels like it's written by AI, just look up Bezos: The Beginning. I worked on it as a like a film tech or something like that. And he's like, and I couldn't believe my eyes when they were filming it. So I looked up this movie, and it's called Bezos: The Beginnings, which was hard to find. If you just look up Bezos: The Beginnings, you won't find this movie. You have to specifically look up like the year of the movie and movie specific, or like the director's name or something like that to find it.
Gotcha.
And it's written, it's produced and stars this guy named Armando Gutierrez. Okay. And I decided to go on to Armando's IMDb page because I was like, his face looks so familiar. I was like, I know I've seen his face before. And then I saw he was in The Little Mermaid from 2018.
The remake?
No, that came out last year. This was The Little Mermaid from 2018. Yeah, exactly. So I click on that, and it's a reimagining of the classic tale, The Little Mermaid, that has nothing to do with The Little Mermaid. And I'm like, whoa, that's weird. You know what else he was in? Anastasia. That came out in 2020. Remember that Disney classic from 2020? Anastasia? And it's a reimagining of Disney's classic Anastasia.
Okay.
And she like comes to modern time. That's the one that Joe Coy is in. Yeah, and there's a few other actors I've seen in them. Oh, Brandon Ruth. Actually, have you seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World? I know I always ask you these things and you're not really sure.
Actually, I think I have seen that one. He falls in love with Ramona Flowers. Mm-hmm. She has multi-hair colored, and it's like a video game world.
Yes.
Like it's all real IRL, but there's like video game stats when he punches and he has to fight her ex-boyfriends.
Yes, he's one of the ex-boyfriends. He's the vegan. He has like the blonde hair and he like floats and like either way, it's not important. All I'm saying is that there are like, okay, I said high tier. We'll say B to C tier celebrities. We'll just be honest. Okay, we'll just say what it is. There's an insane amount of bad movies that this man has made. And it seems like he's obsessed with Mickey Mouse. Or like, I'm sorry. It seems like he's obsessed with Disney, I should say. Because he made a documentary called Walt Before Mickey, which is not produced or tied to Disney at all. He just made it himself. And
where do they get this money? Where do they get the money to do these shit?
Therein lies the question, Mitchell. I don't know. I haven't found out anything yet, but I need to know. Because it says that he was an actor in like a few like he was in the Netflix series House of Cards. Like he was an actual character in that for 3 episodes. It says so he wasn't like a character, but he was a staffer. Oh wait, uncredited. Okay, so he wasn't even credited, but I bet he was paid. So I'm wondering, did he take these shitty jobs and then save up all of his money to then make terrible rip-off Disney movies starring C-level tier celebrities?
Has Disney not come after this guy?
No. Not from what I understand. He made like a horror movie called The Mad Hatter. See what I'm saying here? And yeah, it all leads up to Bezos, this most recent one. And in all of the movies, he stars in it. He produces it.
Yup.
And he's always like the hero. He's never the villain. He's never a side character.
He has a Tommy Wiseau complex.
He does. He's just like a little bit better, I think. You know what I mean? Like slightly, but I'm saying like the needle barely moved.
Doesn't that make him worse?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially because, not that Tommy didn't like take things from other very popular things.
No, Tommy.
But he's
never.
Just doing Disney. He's like it's not even like, oh, I made my own characters. It's like, no, we're gonna go with the Little Mermaid.
Yeah. It's not like I did a twist on Shakespeare or something. It's like, no, this is just the Little Mermaid.
Because like Tommy took influences like was it I was gonna say Death Cab for Cutie, but that's a band.
Rebel Without
Rail Card. No, Rail Card Named Desire. It's the one where he goes, not Lisa. It's Lisa's the name of the girl in that movie.
That's the way? Yeah. I know which I know. Why the fuck can't I remember? Because all I can hear is Lisa now.
Yeah. Now, what's the famous quote from? I literally put in quote because I figured it would have been the first thing that came up.
Just look up the name. Just look up the cast or something. Why?
I'm literally like finding the hardest way to go about this. Stella,
yeah, exactly.
That's what I was trying to say. Is like, and I think Tommy even said
Joseph
that
will
in
all that out.
Interview. No, he won't. He even like said like, oh, I wanted to take that and use that for the inspiration for the "You're tearing me apart, Lisa,"
and he nailed it.
We definitely never go on tangents. This is always. Remember, we're scripted and structured.
Yeah, but my whole point is while I am not suggesting these movies right now, this will not be my suggestion for this week.
Right now, I was wondering that.
There may be a month put aside for Armando Gutierrez, like our Marcho Gutierrez, and we do it in March.
Should we have a month where we try to find the worst movie and just keep trying to outdo each other?
Oh man. Oh god.
It would be rough.
There has to be. All right, I'm down, but we won't get into all this right now. But my only stipulation would be that there has to be like rules, because it can't just be like a shit barrel of the bin. Somebody recorded it on their phone. You found it in a backyard. It's got to have somewhat of a budget. Yes.
Yeah.
Distributed.
Yeah. There has. Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's actually had to be put on platforms, not just like I uploaded it to YouTube and calling it a movie.
Because I was about to say, it's like it's easy to find the worst movie ever if you just go on YouTube and find like a bad fan film or a bad, So, there would have to be rules, but I'm down for that. Hi.
Hey,
hello.
How's it going,
everyone? Welcome to the Neon Valley Podcast.
Bienvenidos.
This is episode 30.
Ooh, dirty 30.
Yeah. I've lost total count when it comes to us recording, because like obviously when I edit them and upload them, I'm like, oh, that's what number it was. But every time I listen back, I'm always wrong. I think last episode I said it was the 28th, and then the one before that I said it was the 27th. But so I'm like one behind. And then I think when we first came back, it was the 21st, but I said it was the 20th. Like, yeah, I can't.
And now we're going to have to double them, because we'll have like the 30th and then the 31st will be the movie review.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because now they're their own things.
Yeah.
That's not going to make it any more complicated.
No. Which, by the way, that's just a little reminder. We now have 2 episodes a week. One on Monday, one on Thursday. Today's episode, the Monday show, is just kind of like a chill, laid-back, relaxing, topic-sharing conversation. Like, today, we will be going down our top 5 best moments. I'm assuming you did, because we haven't discussed leading back up to this.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, your face kind of says otherwise, but I'm sure you can come up with 5 on the spot. We'll be fine.
I have a solid 3 right off the bat.
Yeah, nailed it.
I mean 5 because that was the assignment that I'm totally prepared for.
5, yes. But how's your week been, Mitchell?
It's really good. I'm very excited to show the Lacrosse Head that I got for the new season. It's a marble dye job, so it's got the teal and white. Ooh.
Oh, damn, son, that is slick.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's called the Surgeon 900.
The Surgeon. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring up some of the messages here we got in the Discord.
We got some questions. Don't forget to join our Discord.
Oh, I'm not trying to gloss over the Lacrosse Head, by the way. I want to come back to that. We're going to come back to that.
It plays a key part of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm not trying to gloss over it. I'm just letting you know that I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to figure out where
I think I was trying to gloss over because I didn't have too much more other to add. Did I mention that I'm going to be playing again on the podcast?
No, I don't think you did, actually.
I don't think so, yeah. So I played lacrosse from pretty much middle school through high school. My last 2 years of high school, I transferred to a different high school, and they didn't have a lacrosse team. So, Jesus. So I played volleyball instead. And then I played all 4 years of college at UNLV, go Rebels. And I had to stop before we went into playoffs because I fractured my wrist and could not play anymore. But yeah, I'll be joining a men's league, so I'm very excited about that.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, no, I want to see some vids. Gotta draw me some vids.
Some sweet vids.
Yeah, I gotta see you playing. I wanted to stay on this topic, and it worked, because I wanted to land the joke that Lacrosse Head in college was a very different thing. You know what I'm saying, Mitchell? You know what I'm saying, buddy? You're married with a child now.
I can't do that for as long as I used to be the fake laugh without going into an actual coughing fit.
Fake? What do you mean fake?
No, I mean that was all totally real, and I'm not phoning it in at all.
Asshole. Anyway. All right. Did we? Do you have anything else more to say about the lacrosse?
We got way more out of that than I was expecting. So at this point, it's all just bonus points. So yes, join our Neon Valley Discord, Neon Valley Pod, and leave us questions about my lacrosse head. Either one.
This is the Lacrosse Head episode. That might be the title of this episode already. I'm just gonna say the Perfect. Lacrosse Head. Yeah, we finally got some questions in the Discord and Reddit. All right, we have 2 questions here from Gerbils. There's technically 3, but I'm skipping the one he asked about edge runners. I will watch it, okay? I promise. He asked, if you guys could remake any old game, what game would it be? That's a pretty good question.
Ooh, as in it's gonna be the same game, but just with like today's level of graphics, or
yeah, no, I think it could go as far as even like the whole Resident Evil 2 remake, where it's basically an entirely different game, but it's steeped in the exact same story, like story mode. It's just, you know, the graphics are entirely different and the gameplay feels different, but it's still the same game. So, yeah,
it's entirely different. But it's still the same.
I said the gameplay is entirely different, but it's still the same game. That can be a thing. Well, I guess the gameplay is not entirely different. That's a lie. Okay, whatever. Stop.
All right, you go first, because
I didn't have one. You looked like you had one. I was
okay, I have one.
Okay.
So my natural instinct is to go with Oblivion, because I personally believe I loved Oblivion more than Skyrim. I think I do have to go with Oblivion, because compared to the gameplay of Skyrim felt very empty for a lot of areas.
Compared to Oblivion? Well, I guess Oblivion was more compact. Maybe is that
and like
what it
when
was?
you think of like the Imperial City, right? The Imperial City was huge. There was so many places to go and so many things to do within the Imperial City. There was the arena, the Thieves Guild. A lot of that took place there. And Skyrim, I felt like all the cities were a lot more scaled down. And
I think they just spread more of the things out to the different cities, maybe, because it was a much bigger map. So I think it was more of like, instead of everything being within that Imperial City, it's like, well, let's put the arena up here, and let's put something over in Markarth, and let's put the,
Yeah. And I liked the Daedric shrines a little bit more in Oblivion. The Oblivion gates as well. It was kind of something that took you to what felt like a different area of the game. Now, not to say that a lot of the Oblivion gates felt very kind of copy and paste, but going through the Oblivion gates at the very end of it, you would get that, I think, a sigil stone that was a increase to, like, it gave you a really big boost in either stats or some special effect to your weapons. So it was always like, oh, I got the sigil stone. This one is, it has like a life drain effect or something like that. I just felt like.
But wasn't that the same excitement of like that shout? Every time you found out what that new shout was, dude, that hyped me up because it was always something insane I didn't expect. Or I'm like, this one raises the dead? Like, that shit was sick.
Oh, yeah. And it's definitely not to say like I didn't like Skyrim because I dumped hours into Skyrim.
I can't really say much. I never finished Oblivion, so I don't have the experience of like actually, because Skyrim was my first Elder Scrolls, like we talked about. So
the ending, like the last almost, I guess, chapter of Oblivion, it's just like, okay, shit's happening. Okay, double the shit happens. Okay, quadruple the shit is happening. It is insane. I thought it was fantastic. It was really well done. And even when you're talking with people, you have the ability to kind of bribe them. You can try to sweet talk them, and that will make them like you more. I felt the interactions with people, there was a lot more options in Oblivion. So yeah, I think I would definitely go with Oblivion in terms of if I was going to remake a game.
That's fair. So you're saying you personally, because you wouldn't want Bethesda to remake it, because God knows what they would do with it at this point. Like, fuck you. Because I've revisited Starfield and like.
Oh, dude, Starfield, everything just feels like a fetch quest. Again, we talked about Baldur's Gate. Everything in Baldur's Gate feels like there's intention and there's a consequence. Starfield is literally, go here and do this and return and I will give you coin.
Yeah, which it sucks because the gameplay, like the feel of it, isn't terrible. Like, I think like the gunplay is actually not bad for a Bethesda game, because usually like Fallout, like that's pretty rough. That's why they literally had to implement the VAT mechanic, because the shooting in Fallout sucked so bad, and they knew that they had to make a mechanic that stopped time. I didn't know that. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like the game came out and then they implemented it. It was like during design, they realized hey, combat is really difficult for us to like do in this software. So they came up with the VAT system. But in Starfield, it feels really nice. But the story and the quests are just like unplayable. And it sucks because it's almost like they've inversed. Because I'll be honest, as someone who hasn't played Oblivion and has tried to replay it and like start it, it's literally the opposite, where the story and the quests are amazing, but the gameplay and like the functions are almost unplayable. Like as compared to like what I'm used to of a modern game now, there's things that like frustrate me, like the combat and the slowness and the even the dialogue can be very like tedious in that game. But again, the story and the quests are so good that it like makes you want to keep playing it. So it's so funny how it's like they were at two ends of the spectrum. In the very middle was Skyrim. They met this perfect point of like, gameplay and story. And the gameplay in Skyrim's a little messy too. The combat's not like fucking Dark Souls, but
it's such a big game. So if what I would hope for Elder Scrolls 6 is the kind of more character interaction that I felt Oblivion had. I also like that Oblivion had, I felt, a little bit more, Skyrim has, kind of foresty areas, but I felt Oblivion was just a little bit more bright, where Skyrim always feels like it's a little bit darker.
But really? Because for me, Oblivion feels like not gray, but like sepia. Like I always get that kind of like yellow tinge when I think of Oblivion. Now, to be fair, in Skyrim, I think of a gray tinge. So it's not like I think of Skyrim as like colorful and bright, unless you have a mod or something like that. But same with like Oblivion things. But again, I didn't get very far into Oblivion, and those first couple cities are kind of like dingy, and you're near the coastline, and like, I mean, Imperial City's gold and big and I don't know. Yeah, I always just got that like kind of like, maybe it's just the aesthetic of the early 2000s games.
Yeah.
You know?
I like the vastness of Skyrim. I just feel that it could be more populated. So I think if you took what I think was like, we'll call the population mechanics and the character and interaction mechanics of Oblivion, you add that to something that's at the scale of Skyrim, but that looks like Starfield.
I don't know. I don't know.
From like graphic quality. Maybe I didn't play Starfield enough.
No. I'm not disagreeing with that part.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, Starfield looks great. Like, I think that's the one thing people shitting on it for are completely wrong. I don't get why people are like, it looks like trash. No, it actually looks like a very pretty game.
Like, if you're trying to play it on your Xbox One, like me, your original one, it's gonna fucking run or look terrible. But when I played it on my wife's Xbox, which is the newer one, I was like, oh, this shit actually looks good. So I can only imagine what it looks like if you have it on like a PC.
Yeah, like a high-end PC or something. Like, yeah, some of the character models are like a little wonky and weird, but again, like, whatever. You know, they literally made like 1,000 of them, so it's fine. And that's the thing; it's so vast, it's just insane. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about Elder Scrolls 6, especially because when they revealed the trailer and before Starfield came out, like a month before, I think Todd Howard like reaffirmed that they haven't really hit the ground running with the story of Elder Scrolls 6 yet. And like, you can look at that as a good thing, because it's like, oh, they're not rushing it, but it's like, you haven't even started yet. Like, you can't lay the groundwork of something, you know? Like, he's making it sound like they haven't even... Now, whether or not they've done the mechanics, maybe they have like a playground they've built within that world. I have opinions about Bethesda that have changed over the last like 4 or 5 years. That like it sucks because I feel like they're just shooting themselves in the foot because they refuse to abandon their old game engine. They're still using the same game engine from, I believe, Oblivion. If not,
oh wow,
yeah, like it's called like Frostbite, and they update it. I think it's Frostbite. I might be wrong about that one. Don't flame me. But yeah, it's like they refuse to like update or change their software. Like, if they would just build a game in fucking Unreal, like, who cares? Like, I don't know why they have this pride to use their own engine, but it's the reason things are so clunky. And like, someone pointed out there was a sandwich, and like, for people who don't know much about like video games, this might not sound like crazy, or it might not even make sense, but like, there's this sandwich in I was about to say Skyrim, in Starfield, that someone downloaded the model of, like, you know, pulled it from the game and then put it into a 3D model source. And they literally found that it had like hundreds of faces and vertices on it to make it the shape that it is. And like, it doesn't have to do that. Like, that's using so much process power for just this one little tiny sandwich that's on a table that's just wasting any like time. And that's the reason the game is 130 gigabytes big, is because they refuse to like figure out how to compress a fucking sandwich to not be 300 vertices and faces. I'm using terms that are kind of like 3D element terms, but like still, either way, the point resides. They refuse to like just update their shit, and it's the reason like the Obsidian got dropped and left and like started doing Outer Worlds, which was in like their own series. I'm more excited for their game, which I can't remember the name of. Arcane? No, that doesn't sound right. Ooh. That's already out. Do you remember? It was a trailer from like the Game Awards or something like 2 or 3 years ago, where the guy is doing magic. It's like first person, and there's like a dragon coming out of a cave, and he has like sigil magic that he like shoots out like fucking Doctor Strange.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, Avowed. Avowed. That's what it's called. I don't know why it just hit me, but it did.
I would say it looks like it just hit you.
I didn't see it on my phone. It's blank. Avowed. Yeah, it looks really good. But again, I also know nothing about it, so I shouldn't say too much. I'm sorry. I went on my little Bethesda rant.
You shouldn't be avowed to.
No, did I just break my gun? Okay, no, we're good. Okay. I'm sorry. I went on my little rant. You did answer the question. I did not answer the question.
You did not.
And then we talked about...
You just went in on my answer.
Yeah. No, I liked your answer a lot. I went in on Bethesda because I was curious about whether or not you would get them to remake the game, because I was like, don't.
If I could sit them down and have a conversation with them about what I expect...
There you go.
Otherwise, I would be like, you need to go over to, was it Larian? The ones that did Baldur's Gate, and be like, have them, because if you get that level of like voice acting,
animation,
immersion of the game with that size of world and interaction with the world, oh dude, you're looking at, I don't need to have a life anymore, because that's it.
I know. Well, even for me, like, bring Obsidian back. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure, I don't know if they're, on good terms, or if they're even the same people who work for the companies that are even connected anymore or whatever. Because Obsidian's the one who worked on Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, and I believe they had a little bit of a hand in Oblivion and Morrowind, like, early on. Like, they were some of the team members from Obsidian. Oh. So, like, those were the early on guys. That's why Outer Worlds has such a deep, like, it's steeped in that same kind of Bethesda feel, But yeah, anyway, I will answer the question, so I'm sorry. It's, no, mine was actually genuinely going to be, Earthworm Jim. Do you remember Earthworm Jim?
You know why I remember Earthworm Jim?
Why is that?
When I was in so I went to something called La Petite Academy when I was a kid, and I think it was like a pre-K. It was something like that. They had a Sega, because it was on the Sega, right? The Genesis?
I think it was on a couple different consoles, because I had it for the N64. But I think it was cross-platform.
Okay, so whichever one that they had it, because they actually had one at this I'll call it a kinder care.
Yeah, remember those days.
Bro, I was so heavily bullied there. Like, I would watch the kids play. But
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Just the way, that was just so out of left field. Like, I know it was the way you said it. I'm sorry, that's the only reason I like, because I thought you were about to say, like, oh man, I played that game so much, and you were just like, oh man, I got bullied so bad.
No, I didn't get to play. None of the kids. So when I was growing up, I had a nervous tick where I would like roll my head and then like nod it forward. And because it was weird and different, other kids made fun of me for it. And so because of that, I wasn't allowed to play the game because I was the weird kid. I'm also like, why were they just letting us play fucking video games at this kinder care? They just did not want to watch us.
Oh no, those were just babysitters. Basically.
I had my Game Boy Color, and I wanted to trade Pokemon with people, and again, nobody wanted to play with the weird kid who had a nervous tick. There was one time we were on a bus, we're gonna go to the pool, and one kid stands up and says, "Hey Mitchell, if you don't do that tick thing, then we'll let you play with us today." Now the entire bus is staring at me.
And of course, it's a nervous thing. Yeah, of course it's going to ignite it even more. Damn, kids are insane, man. Because
I totally forgot about that. Thanks.
My only reasoning for Earthworm Jim, to get past your very depressing story, that I'm very sorry that happened to you. I was fat, if it makes you feel any better. I always got picked last because I was fat, but whatever. I pick Earthworm Jim because I miss like weird games. Like, there are still a few. They still make some. But just imagining like a third person like shooter with a worm guy as the main character, and you're still in this crazy world and using like I know he used the gun to like swing across shit, and like it was very like Indiana Jones but as a worm. So yeah, I'm down for that. I miss like weird concept games like that. Everything now is just like, you're a guy who is a grave robber, and in this one you're a guy who shoots vampires, and in this one you're a girl who shoots vampires. It's like, okay,
Now you're a vampire who shoots girls?
Yeah. That's why I was super hyped about the Biomutant. Do you remember that game or remember hearing about it?
I'm going to look it up because that one I don't.
I was super hyped for it because it kind of resembled the days of like N64 games where you play as a small little creature and you're fighting other creatures, you're collecting things, but it's in like a modern setting. But the game was so disappointing. They just kind of like, yeah, they just didn't follow through. It was almost like, I feel like there could have been a good game, but they got crunched into releasing it too quickly, and then it just kind of sucked. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I miss those old kind of games. Damn, that one question took us over a half an hour. So Joseph, do your thing. All right, let's do one more, and then we'll do our top 5 of the year. Okay. All right. Gerbil said, if you could make a game / movie / show in any universe. Wait, what? Which universe would you choose and why? Trying to think of what that question...
Like, if you can make a game of any show's universe, does it mean like that?
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know why I got so esoteric with this question. Yeah, he's just asking, like, if we could make a game, movie, or show based on any property ever, what would it be? Like, what universe would we be in? Like, the Marvel universe, the Sonic universe, the Resident Evil universe? Yeah. But what would it be?
So it's funny. What was it? There's a game out now that's called Shinobi Strikers, and this was like shortly after Fortnite. I remember saying, oh, it'd be super cool if there was like a battle royale kind of style of like ninja fighting. And Shinobi Strikers kind of became that. It's not as necessarily like you get dropped in with like 100 people, but it is like 5v5 and you use ninjutsu to attack each other. It's a lot
of fun. I remember that.
I think one of the coolest facts is you can run on the walls. So you could be like having full on combat fights like on a wall at a 90-degree angle while people are fighting down next to you. But sick. I think if they were to do something like that with the Elder Scrolls, again, I'm picking like my 2 favorite things, where it's more ninja based. So it's like the Naruto world is the world of the Elder Scrolls. But an
open world game.
But an open world game where you create your own character. That's where
you were going with that.
You can pick the family lineage clan, or I think it'd be cool too to have an option where you just get randomly dropped in and you have to discover what your powers are, and doing different quests might help.
The lore is already there. It's like the game just has to be made. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You don't even have to recreate anything. All you have to do is and I mean, they even did it. The fighting game had its own special story that isn't even a part of any of the series. It's not manga canon. It's just its own. It's literally called special story when you play it instead of story mode. So you come up with something like that where, okay, this is the big bad enemy, and you can either side with them, you can be a bad guy, or you can be a good guy. And again, you have the 5 main villages that maybe you could come from, each village being like the big hub world, and then out in the open is where like all the skirmishes happen. I think there is a lot of groundwork already done with building the lore of the world. It would just be about creating the game. And I think a game like Elder Scrolls, because again, spells, ninjutsu, like a lot of those things, I think would transfer over. Great questions.
Well, to be fair, we didn't really answer the question. Well, you said Naruto. I didn't answer the
again,
question.
I've answered the question and you have.
Well, I don't really know necessarily. I think, you know what? I would love to make a good Resident Evil movie. Like I don't think
you would flip it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I don't think any movie they've made for Resident Evil has done any of the games justice. And while I don't think that I could like direct and write and produce like a perfect movie, I think I know enough from the games of what it would take and enough about horror movies to make a good Resident Evil horror movie. So I think I could pull that off. But yeah, I would love to make something like that.
Also, BioShock still deserves, if not, no, I think a movie wouldn't do it enough justice. I think it deserves like a series, but like an HBO series with like 45-minute episodes.
Yeah, like a Netflix, like miniseries.
Yeah.
I feel you. HBO's dead. So.
HBO's.
Gotta move on from that. All right. Speaking of moving on, should we get on to our next topic here, Mitchell? Thank you for the question, Gerbils. By the way, if anybody else wants to leave questions, make sure to join that Discord and the Reddit as well. Links will be in the description down below. All right. Where are my top 5? Okay. So you're not like, it doesn't look like you're reaching for anything. Doesn't look like you're bringing anything up on the computer. So
actually, that's a good point. I know because I did. No, I actually did write. I think at least my top 2.
Okay, so maybe some of the things I say will help
inspire
ignite some memories for you. So how about I go first?
Okay, let's do that.
I'll go with my number 5. Actually, well, I have some honorable mentions. I'll do that first. An honorable mention. So the demo release I had for my game, that was one
Super
I have.
Amazing.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in my top 5 moments of the year, but for sure it was very inspiring for me, seeing people's reactions, and it was very nice. So thank you guys again. If anybody listening happened to play it, Skorge on itch.io. Full game coming soon. Sooner than you think, but further away than you hope. Oh, and then my other honorable mention is I went to the Oregon Zoo with Audrey about 2 weeks ago. So that was pretty recent.
That's nice.
And that was a lot of freaking fun. Animals are awesome. Especially when you can see those many animals up close and personal. God damn, man. We are into my number 5 of my official top 5 of the moments. Top 5 of the moments?
I have 4 now. Let me write these down before I forget.
See, there we go. All right. And I bet you didn't write this one down, and you're welcome, because it'll be your number 5. It's the Level Up Expo. Why are you laughing?
We'll get to it.
Is that your number 1? I'm just kidding.
No.
Could you imagine? Well, are you laughing? That happened this year, right? I'm not fucking crazy. It was
no, that's not why. It wasn't. No, it was this year. It was this past year.
Okay. So we did do this last year. And last year, I think we made sure that if we had any ones that overlapped, we talked about them at the same time.
Yep. So the reason for my laugh was that is my number 4, unless I come up with a 5th.
Okay.
Which I probably will be able to.
Okay. So we do have them on the same list, which about the same levels, which again, it might be your 5th if you have another one that goes above it. But yeah, no, man, that was a lot of fun. It was kind of last minute for me. I wasn't expecting to go, and you invited me. And yeah, I was a little nervous at first because I'd never been to a con or an expo before. But it was a lot of fun, man.
Oh, actually, that's perfect, because this is also my number 5 as well. So Level Up, for those that don't know, is both a anime, but also and I think it's a little bit more geared towards video games in general, but a lot of that genre. So a lot of those cultures mesh, and it was something that I think it was me, my wife, my buddy, and his wife, and then I'd reached out to you and said, hey, do you want to join us? Not really expecting, because again, I thought it was going to feel a lot more anime geared, and I was like, I don't know if he's going to want to go to that. But not only did you come, I think you had a really good time at that.
Yeah, no, you caught me at one of those moments where I was like, you know what? I want to be a little adventurous. I want to try something. Because yeah, like you said, I wasn't too familiar with the anime side of it, but once I found out it was but also a gaming expo, I was like, well, I can get into that. And yeah, we even played a few demos going around the booths. Bought some sick jackets and clothes. And
you get the coolest random stuff at the anime conventions.
Yeah, I love all the different booths and tents they have set up, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Eevee walked by. We had the Eevee parade or whatever that was.
Yeah, that's right. There was a giant Eevee, and man, that was popular.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. But yeah, that was my number 5. While it was not life-changing, it was one of the funnest moments of the year, for sure.
Oh yeah, and again, I think the spontaneousness was also something that you don't often do. So when you do, I was just really excited that it was such a positive memory.
Yeah, no, it turned out good. And what they had, G Fuel 3 for $5 or something.
Oh yeah, it was actually like a really good deal. We were hyped up on G Fuel,
a little too hopped up. All right, so you know what? Since we had the same one, why don't you do your number 4 now?
So number 4 is kind of going to be a little spoiler for my number 1. So I had something in this year, and I went to a different anime convention later on, and at that anime convention was the voice actor for a specific character. This will be I had a baby. We've already talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah. I'm assuming that was your number 1 anyway. I mean, it was hard.
Having the babies, it was also the reason why it was really hard to think of other things, because I'm like, my life has been so focused on this baby. But what I realized was my number 4 is we got to meet the voice actress for Eri, who's from My Hero Academia. Yeah, that's right. Because I always get confused with where I used to work. Yeah, that's what confused me. So we went to a convention. Her voice actress was there. So we got a Eri Pop signed for my daughter that had like a little message that I wrote, and it was funny. She's like, "Do you want to come up with something? Do you want me to write something?" I was like, "Grow up to be your own hero." Because it's called My Hero, and so I was really proud of that. And then we also had Deku, who is the main character from that series, but he's the one that really like takes care of Eri, and so we got both of them as well to sign one of like the super big pops. So we have one of just Eri, the smaller one, and then we have the larger one with Deku and Eri on it, signed by both their voice actors. And it was a really cool experience to meet someone who had kind of helped inspire what we ended up naming our daughter.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you telling me that story, and like, that's a pretty surreal experience, you know. I'm surprised it's not above actually having your daughter. That's weird.
Because it's anime and baby related, so you get the both.
So you would think
the best of both. I cut out the word best there on myself. You get the both.
You get the both of it. No, yeah, I was gonna say that this year was a little bit more difficult than last year. And I think it's because major things happened. But because those major things happened, there wasn't time for like smaller things to happen. Does that make sense?
A lot more planning and getting stuff done than it was, you know, celebrating. But again, it's one of those, it's building, and I think next year we're gonna have really big, you know, holy shit, we were able to do this because we set ourselves up in this. I like to call it a building year. This was, I felt, definitely a building year.
Yes. Yeah, which is always less cringy to say in December than it is in January. If you go into the year going, this is a building year, you sound like a douche. But when it's December and you go, you know what, this was a building year, that's good.
I actually did stuff this year to set me up for, that it feels a lot better.
But yeah, because obviously I have something on my list here that will be a big change in my life that, again, didn't really have time for smaller changes. But okay, my number 4 was an Oregon football game. Was the first Ducks game me and Audrey went to.
Oh yeah.
That was so much fun because we had
really good games.
The only way I can describe it is we did it like we were 21. Like we just went from the minute we woke up, we cracked open a beer. You know, and like I haven't done that in forever. Like, yeah, I might have an afternoon beer on the weekend or something. But to just wake up and start drinking, like, no. So, yeah, we immediately started the day off, started drinking, right? We had some breakfast, and then we walked down to the football game, which is what all the college students do. You walk down. You don't drive. We're close enough, okay? And especially because you're going to be so shit-faced.
Don't drink and drive. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Of course, yeah. And so we were like, no, go down there. We walk, and we had, I think we crushed a drink before the game even started, like right when the doors opened and we got in, of course. and had some delicious cheese fries, had some nachos. We had Beast is crawling around in the background. It looks really funny. But yeah, I bought some merch. Like, we just had the full experience, you know?
Yeah.
We're cheering with the other fans who were there and like talking with them, getting to know them, telling them how we're new and all this stuff. And yeah, even though I've been to plenty of games, this one was a little bit different because it was like a brand new town, brand new city. You're feeling the energy of a whole other city that you're not a part of. And it's funny because I think the easier part for me too is that I don't have any connections to like college sports. You know, like, of course I'll cheer for UNLV because all of my friends went and like I lived in that city, but I don't have a connection to that. So there was zero animosity. Where if I was in another professional stadium, I might still be thinking a little bit, well, it's like, yeah, it's not the Eagles though, or so. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'd say that was my number 4.
Nice. I like it. My number 3. I moved into a house. So Tyler, we were actually roommates for many number of years. I think I was in that apartment for like 6.5, if not 7 years long. And I went from a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, like 1,100 square foot apartment to a 4-bedroom house. So, I mean, even I have my own office where I do both my work and music and streaming. And it was one of those things that I don't own it, I'm renting, but still to be in the area I wanted to be in, to kind of make that move. And my goal is that this time next year we'll be looking to buy a house. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking the steps that I feel like are getting me closer to that end goal. And it was something that kind of told me is I'm on the right path so far. So it was one of those, I felt like something I've wanted for a while had finally come to fruition.
That's crazy. I can't believe that happened this year. Like we were saying, that it feels like
a lot of shit happened this year.
Yeah, so much happened within that house already that it feels like you've lived there for 2 years or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I remember helping you move and stuff. So yeah, wow. And that wasn't too long before we moved. So like, wow, jeez, wow. Yeah. So my number 3 is all of us going golfing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, fuck you. I bet you don't have that, dick.
You know what? I might have to... All right, because
bump down the expo.
Yeah, I'm gonna bump down the level, because I had a great time, but... Well, man, it's so hard to say because, again, it was something that wasn't necessarily in your element that you decided...
Yeah, for the golfing thing, you're saying.
Yeah, the golfing thing.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. I had such a great time.
Yeah. No, I had to put it on my list because, again, like you said, it was something out of my norm. I don't usually do it. Which, funny enough, that does feed into the thing I remembered Sidian did say, is that he said we should have a debate about golf, saying that we should do the...
is it a sport or not?
Yeah, or like, you know, defend like its thing. Which is funny, that would not be my angle. Because because I'm going to say this. I think that's a dumb argument. Of course it's a sport. Like, I think chess is a sport. You know what I mean? Like, I think anything that involves any kind of competition and physicality at all or mentality is a sport. Like, just straight up. That there's that. Now, whether or not people want to disagree with my definition of a sport, that's a whole other thing.
But to say, is golf a sport? I'm like, there's other things you might have a better chance created an argument about, but
like video games. Like video games is an argument you maybe could make, but even that I would consider like an e-sport. Like that's a sport. Yeah, like
it is sport. It is a Mexican sport.
Yeah, because there's training involved. I think that maybe that's one of the facets. Is there training involved? Do you have to become the best at that thing? Then it's kind of as a sport.
Is being a Pokemon trainer a sport?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Like, if it was real in that world, yeah, of course it's a sport. That would be the ultimate sport.
Yeah, it's like having... Here's the thing. I always kind of felt like being a Pokemon trainer was like having a kid and putting them in karate, because then you're just sending your kid to battle other people's kids.
It's really a fucked up. You can't think too deep into the Pokemon idea.
Use double kick.
The more and more you think about it, you're just like, oh, it's animal abuse. This is chicken fighting. This is just cockfighting.
That's the only way I've rationalized it. Is they seem to be at least like conscious enough to know when they do and don't want to take part in it, where like animals clearly don't. Yeah. And again, you put your kids in karate, they're gonna go fight somebody else's kid, and everybody cheers and watches that.
It's the Dobby excuse. How in Harry Potter, they have the house elves. They're literally slaves, right? But then in one of the books, like the 4th or 5th one, J.K. Rowling made sure to have this little part where they're like, "Oh, we love being these house elves. This is our favorite thing, is to clean and to cook for you. It's what we live for." It's like, okay, we have to make that point because, yeah. So yeah, of course, Pokemon love it. They love it. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Golf. So yeah, I think golf is a sport. I think that's a silly argument. My stance would be whether or not it's ethical. That's my thing. It's like whether or not the resources used for golf are worth the outcome, you know. That because that's always been my weird thing, is like how much water and land it uses. But again, I have learned that in certain cities there's literally only irrigation because they built a golf course. Now, that speaks more to capitalism and how fucked up capitalism is.
It becomes levels, right? Because you start at one and then you're like, oh, but it did a good thing. Why does it require that to do a good thing? And then you just keep going up, and then you're like, it's the fucking moon.
Yeah, exactly. It's all Elon Musk's fault at the end of the day. We just need to accept it. But yeah, that would not be my stance on that. But yeah, I thought that was funny. But yes, I had a lot of fun golfing. And to be fair, the Vegas golf course that we went to uses recycled water, and that shit nasty, dog. You don't want to go near that.
If you're on a Vegas golf course, you could have your eyes closed to be put on a golf course in Vegas, and you're like, that. Here's every golf course in Las Vegas, because I've played a bunch, and I've played very nice courses, all have the same sign by the water. Do not touch the water. Do not go in the water. Do not drink the water, because it's all the reclaimed water. It is not fresh pond. I feel so bad for all the geeses and the duckses.
Right? Those poor turtles and shit. Like, oh, water. It's like, no, get out of there.
No, it's a
get
trap.
Out of all the alligators. The Vegas alligators in there.
The Vegas Gators.
That was my number 3. We had a lot of fun. There's not too much to say about it. We got shit-faced. It's funny. This tells you how good this is that it made it to number 3 on my list. That the post... No, you don't even know. It's so good that it makes up for what happened afterwards.
Oh, dude, you got destroyed.
I had the worst... like, I can't even call it a hangover. I think what happened was I had like a heat stroke, essentially.
I think you were dehydrated.
Exactly, yeah. I think I was mostly dehydrated. Got home, tried to chug some water. Even though we were drinking water throughout the day, it was not enough. We were pounding drinks.
No, because you were in the sun, so the water was bouncing out the alcohol.
105-degree. Yeah,
that's right. It was.
It's bad.
Vegas golfing is it gets tough in the summer, and the winter's actually not been bad at all.
I would imagine that's almost the best time. Yeah. So I was destroyed when I got home, and I took one bong rip, and actually no, it was a dab. And I think maybe the heat from the dab and like the vape, like drying out my throat even more, like it put me into a tailspin of just like, I ended up on all fours in the shower, like moaning, just waiting to die. I just wanted to die, dude. I was like, kill me. I hate this. Like my head feels, we were 5 seconds away from taking me to the emergency room because I didn't know how serious what I was going through was. It was that bad.
And it still made top 3.
Still made top 3, baby. Right. All right. What's your number 2?
My number 2 was my first performance as Tsuku. I was very excited. I got to play at a place called Ninja Karaoke downtown. I had a great crowd there to support me, and it was it was an incredible time. It was, again, I've done other performances, but this is the first time that as my rap persona Tsuku that I got to perform, and I got to perform 2 songs which are out now on all streaming platforms. Look up Tsuku, Tsuku. Death Note as well as Oolong are available everywhere, and some unreleased music as well. And I got really good feedback, so it was just an awesome experience. And yeah. I mean, even people were coming up to me afterwards that like I didn't know that I hadn't invited, and they were like, "You had really great energy." So, very excited about that. It was it meant a lot, and I hope that there's a lot more to come in the next year.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that was your first Tsuku show, because of course I've seen you perform before. I guess I just didn't. Yeah, that is your first like Tsuku show. That's sick.
And I got paid for it. Which was like not anything that ever happens. Typically, they make you buy the tickets, sell them. They're like, no, you get paid for everyone that comes to see you specifically. And I was like, fuck yeah.
My second is Audrey's birthday. We went to I was about to say bed and breakfast. Not a bed and breakfast. It's just a hotel. Like right on the beachfront. Like literally the back door leads out to the beach. And it was like a birthday trip for her, but it was like this kind of trip for us to just kind of completely relax after the move, because we had been there about a month, and it was a way to just totally unwind, and it was awesome. There was like this hot tub inside of the hotel room that was two people wide. Oh, we'll get to that. That's number 1. No, just kidding.
That's number 1. I killed baby Hitler.
I went back to 1985. So, yeah, there was this huge freaking hot tub / bath in the room that was 2 people wide that like faced the window and the TV. And like they gave us a free bottle of champagne because we told them it was the birthday. Yeah. It actually, you know what? It was also kind of our anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Combined, because
I was gonna say that doesn't happen in Vegas. You're paid for that bottle of champagne. And you're paid like 10 times as much as you would just going and buying one from the store.
Yeah, we were blown away. We're like, for free? Like just for that? So now Audrey has taken it upon herself to add a little note onto every place we go to now that says, "Oh, it's also our anniversary." I'm like, you have to stop doing that. They're not everyone is going to give us.
Well, it's not going to work. Yeah. I'm definitely going to say it. But just not in Vegas. They're going to be like, "That's cool. Did you want to pay more for special accommodations?"
I was like, just don't do anything you have to verify. Okay, just don't do anything you have to verify. No birthdays.
I'm pregnant. They're like, well, we're definitely not giving you free champagne then.
Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah, it was, there's not too much to say about it. It was just a very beautiful, intimate, like, night and morning, and we had a lot of fun.
And you didn't almost die after.
Say that.
It's debatable.
Drive home was a little rough. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. It was a lot of fun. All right, so that leads us down to the number 1.
I'm a dad now, so that is pretty much going to be overarching.
I don't know why I like genuinely thought you were going to say something else. I don't know, like I knew what it was, but just I think we've gone through this for so long. I was just like, oh, what's your number 1, Mitchell?
Yeah, so it's one of those. It's incredibly rewarding. Love her to death. I'm seeing more personality traits in her as she's developed, but yeah, by far, easily number 1 was definitely becoming a dad.
Man, it's so. I mean, we've talked about it like a bunch of times on the podcast, but it's still insane to even think about. Like, because I had an old friend message me, Brandon, messaged me on Twitter. Believe it or not.
Holy shit!
Yeah, right. And he actually said he was like, I listened to your and Mitchell's podcast, and he was like, that Christmas episode was hilarious. I was like,
oh my god, that's super cool.
I was like, that's awesome. So look at us bringing people back together through our podcast.
Look at us.
But no, yeah.
Who thought? I didn't think we'd be here.
Yeah, not me.
Hope you're doing well, Brandon, if you're listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it was just insane to think about, like, because we were talking about how the old days of going to South Point and Town Square, and having the realization that was literally 15 years ago, and it like broke my brain. So now to think that you have a child who in 15 years will also be going to Town Square and South Point. Yeah, I'm making assumptions. Those things won't exist. We'll be in a post-apocalyptic hellscape, and they'll be fighting off zombies. But yeah, it's a mind fuck, and it's beautiful. Yeah, and I guess I've kind of been alluding to it. I've kind of been able to keep it somewhat of a surprise a little bit, I guess. But my number one is moving to Oregon. Was the big move. Woo!
Yep.
It was very scary.
Took the Oregon Trail.
Yep. No one got eaten, luckily. Well,
or dysentery.
Not until we got here, at least.
Whoa.
So I did that the wrong way. Technically, it should have been this way. I'm like...
But it's going to be flipped, right? Because it's inversed.
Sure.
I just realized.
Don't say the Rocky thing. Don't draw attention to it.
Well, here's what's even funnier, because I was actually going to say something about that poster before, is because of the way your light is reflected, it just says rock.
I'm a big fan of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It's not a rock. It's a boulder.
Oh, you got that backwards. It's not a boulder. It's a rock. A rock. The only reason I remember that is because he cries rock afterwards. A rock. Don't judge me.
Well, it's because it's inversed because of the way the camera's set up. So I had to say it that way so that way it would...
Little sidebar. You know what's unwatchable? The first two seasons of Family Guy. I used to love them when I was younger. Me and Audrey tried to watch them again, and we were like, oh my God. Like, the audio is so bad. You could tell it was, like, made in his garage. Like, it's an indie, like, cartoon.
Do you remember the first season of Simpsons? Like, Homer looked different.
Yeah. They made an entire Simpsons rule book because of some of the animations in that first season.
Really?
Like,
no.
That they would never do again because they looked so ugly that they were like, no, we'll never... Like, I think that's the one where, like, Bart's eyes will never be both eyes on the same side of his head because they used to do that, and then they were like, nope, that's ugly.
Oh, yeah, I think I do remember that,
yeah. But yeah, I don't know why I'm trailing off. But no, moving out here was absolutely insane. It was scary as hell to just kind of up and move entirely, because it's one thing to move like 30 minutes across town. That can be intimidating because it's like, oh man. And I even lived up like an hour away in Aliante with my dad for a while.
Dude, like, out there.
Like years ago. But driving 16 hours up through the desert and then hitting an entirely new landscape, like watching the landscape change was insane, because we drove up here from Vegas to Oregon, and going from desert to kind of that midland desert where you have some shrubs, some grass in the desert, and then just forest, like the thickest forests you've ever seen. You would like, I almost couldn't believe that these things were 12 hours away from each other. It's almost,
oh yeah, it
almost feels like, how can the earth sustain this desert and then this fucking forest 10 hours away from each other? It almost doesn't make sense.
Science.
But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And the people out here are just awesome. Almost every interaction so far has been great. You want to hear something crazy? So Audrey got her car broken into the other night. Yeah, sadly. We're assuming it was a homeless person, unhoused, something along those lines. And she thinks she might have left the door unlocked. So we're kind of like kicking ourselves, like, yeah, that makes sense. But she left her debit card in there. And they took her debit card, and the only thing they did was go to the laundromat and then buy $30 or $40 worth of stuff from CVS, and then nothing else was used. And then so Audrey texted her dad and told her about this, and her dad was just like, you got different homeless people out there in Oregon.
Like, I'm just taking what I need.
For real, I was half expecting the card to be back in the car by the end of the day.
With like a thank you note and a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, this is on you. Yeah.
This is on you.
No,
they buy you a gift with your debit card.
Yeah, because when she told me one of the only charges was laundromat, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of nice. Like, I know, I don't know. That's such a weird reaction, but I was like, oh, the poor guy. Like, if the first thing when you steal a debit card, like a card with unlimited money that you don't know what's on it, right? You go to a laundromat?
It's a front.
Well, they only spent like $36 or something like that, like for
they had a sale
to refill a bunch of cards. Yeah, I don't know why that was my. But again, see, you're twisted by the Las Vegas mindset.
I'm like, no, there's always something behind it.
But out here, it's just like, no, I think this dude just needed to wash his clothes and get some snacks. And then I also think it may have got confiscated from him because there is an unhoused, like, quote unquote problem out here. And a lot of the places, if the guy even told us at the bodega down the street that if an unhoused person uses a debit card, they will usually be like, hey, do you have an ID that matches this? Because otherwise they stole it or, they found it or something. So it may have just got confiscated.
They took her card, washed it because they felt bad.
No! Or they left it in one of the pockets and that's, no, our only chance. They almost had their ticket out. No! Yep. Like, yeah. But yeah, that's our top 5.
Woo! We made it.
That's our best moments of the year, and as far as I know, that's our episode.
So we're just gonna skate over the whole thing that you actually did this week. You actually did the assignment.
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that in this episode or in the movie.
Oh, because it's part of the film.
Yeah, I thought we could kind of maybe start off that episode talking about it a little bit.
I'm good with that then.
But as a bit of a not even spoiler, as a bit of a teaser, I did watch 2 episodes of Takashi Kashi, at least 2. I know I'm behind. I'm very behind. Sorry, I'm a bad person. I did find. You know what's really funny though is that when I did go to watch it, I didn't even bother going back to your texts and finding the sign-ins and everything. I just found this website that streams them for free. Like, it's sketchy, but it's easy. Like, literally, it's just load up. It's called 9animetv.to.
Are we gonna get canceled for that?
No, I don't think so. 9anime.tv. Oh, I'm sorry. No, whatever. You heard me say it the first time. We're not sponsored by any means because this is probably an illegal website. But yeah, they have all the first season on there, dubbed and subbed. So we're good to go.
Why don't you tell the people at home who our sponsor is today?
Our sponsor was Bath and Body Works.
Hey, Bath and Body Works. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Yeah, and
program.
Man, I can't imagine why we don't get sponsors.
We're literally throwing ourselves out there.
We're killing it too. Like every time we have a fake sponsorship, I would buy this. From what you just said, repeat that. What did you say again? It was something about. Yeah, thank you, Bed Bath & Beyond,
for being a part of the podcast
exactly
program. I fucking nailed that.
Jesus, this does smell good though. Audrey got this for me. It's nice.
And you can get your free
no, we're not
supply
sponsored.
Of Bed
Bath & Body Works. We have to make this clear. We are not sponsored by Bed. Thank you for watching, everyone. Make sure to join that Reddit and Discord. Links are in the description as always. Leave us some questions. Follow us on social medias.
Is Zelda in the description? You just said links in the description.
Ah, Jesus fucking Christ. Why didn't I? All right. Oh, God. Bye, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.